Arena. This is Thames Television, operating on the London area transmitters of the Independent Broadcasting Authority.
bed, 6 for goats, 7 for a secret never to be told.
From the Independent Broadcasting Authority, this is TV for the South and South East England.
morning and welcome to programmes on TVS this Sunday the 10th of October. To begin with, the postbox for voluntary organisations in the South and South East.
This is TWW, serving South Wales and the West from the St Hilary station of the Independent Television Authority.
very good morning to you. This is Tyne's Television, broadcasting to North East England and North Yorkshire from the Pontop Pike, Billsdale and associated transmitters of the Independent Broadcasting Authority.
Hello, still to come tonight, our tale from the dark side, and that's Bigelow's Last Smoke in about an hour from now at 12:05. Next, though, the one and only Tom Jones.
Good evening and welcome to our programmes for this Thursday night. Well, now on Tyne's, John Thor, alias Detective Inspector Jack Regan, falls for the charms of a Latin lady. That's the title of tonight's episode of The Sweeney. And that's all from Tyne's Television for Monday night. We're back on the air again at 6 a.m. with TV AM. Jane German will be with you from 9:25 onwards, and I look forward to being here again tomorrow night. Let me just remind you that on Metro Radio it's Alan Robson and his Night Owl for the next hour and 6 minutes, and that's followed by Dave Bray with the North East Night Shift from 2 till 5. But that's all from us here now at Tyne's, with the time at just a few seconds after 6 minutes to 1. And on behalf of all of us here, this is Judy Lyons wishing you a good night and sleep tight.
Good afternoon. An inquest into a schoolyard tragedy in Newcastle has been told that 2 boys who were killed by a delivery van frequently rode on the backs of vehicles. Teesside Polytechnic lecturer Bert Watson has been freed by the gunmen who hijacked the Kuwaiti airliner. Back home in Gisborough, his wife Frances tells Northern Life how she feels after the 48-hour ordeal. The Football Association opens its inquiry into riots at York City's home match against Sunderland. Grubby phone kiosks help a man to ring up a successful business. A honeymoon couple makes sure that their marriage gets off on the right tracks. And little Nicky wins the hearts of an entire police force. Hello again. A major row is brewing tonight between a council and a development corporation over a multi-million-pound city centre project. Animal rights campaigners say York is the centre of a nationwide cat napping operation. Living in poverty, the man who was praised for his part in cracking a massive fuel fraud at a nuclear submarine base. And Britain's most expensive goalkeeper joins Newcastle United.
And join us next for a visit to Emmerdale Farm. That's in a few minutes after the break.
This is ITV Tyne's.
This is Tyne's. The time now 5:40.
Good morning. This is Tyne's Television broadcasting on Channel 3 in the North East.
This is Yorkshire Television, broadcasting from the Emley Moor, Belmont and associated transmitters of the Independent Broadcasting Authority.
Well, good morning from Calendar on this historic day for us, bringing breakfast television to Britain. It's a pleasure to be with you, but no pleasure, I'm afraid, to have to bring you these news headlines. With the death toll at 553 in Tenerife today, clearance teams are searching the wreckage of the two jumbo jets. All of the 249 passengers on the Dutch aircraft were killed in what has become, tragically, the world's worst air disaster. The crash happened when the two holiday charter planes collided whilst preparing to take off. Meanwhile, the London insurance market could be faced with a bill of £30 million. Experts now predict higher insurance rates for passenger aircraft. The rest of the news, Liberal leader David Steele is to make his name his new shadow administration of 13 MPs and 5 peers tonight. After the massive police drug swoop over the weekend, a special court may sit at Swindon this afternoon. 90 people have been arrested so far. And a big vaccination programme starts today among old people in the North Tyneside homes following the death of 16 elderly residents. Well, the regional headlines, one man is missing after a fishing vessel sank off the Humber early today. A helicopter from RAF Leconfield is assisting ships in their search in blizzard conditions for survivors from the Sue from Grimsby. 5 survivors were taken from a life raft aboard an oil rig support ship, and 5 more are aboard the coaster Angela Christina. The new Humber lifeboat, City of Bradford, was launched at 5 o'clock this morning as part of a massive sea and air search. And 4 lifeboats were launched yesterday to go to the aid of fishing boats in heavy seas. They were at Whitby, Scarborough, Filey and Flamborough. And at Cleethorpes on Humberside, 15 small boats were escorted into harbour during a gale. More problems today for the contractors working on the Humber Bridge. The latest in the long series of delays which has plagued the bridge has come with a dispute over shift systems by men assembling the bridge box units. When they didn't turn up on Friday afternoon, they're told not to report for work today, so the contractors will have to find 160 more men. Finally, the RAF are saying goodbye this week to their base at Leconfield near Beverley on North Humberside. The only services to remain there will be the helicopter search and rescue squadron. That's the one involved in this morning's rescue. But local residents won't have seen the last of the services. The Army are taking it over as a driving school. And more on that air disaster. The hospital sources say there are about 90 survivors, all from the American Jumbo. Well, now, today's weather. And today's weatherman is John Hunter. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Bob.
Well, it looks like winter's back all over again, doesn't it, this morning?
Yes, I think spring has been cancelled for a day or two. We've got really bitterly cold, fresh to strong northerly winds across the whole of our region this morning, and there has been a widespread frost overnight, except on the coast, of course.
Well, of course, it's usually a time for planting out in the garden now. That's all gone wrong, hasn't it?
Well, it's not unusual to get a cold spell like this in some marches. In fact, there has been notable snowfalls at this end of March in previous years, back in the past. And we've got some snow about today, of course, but I don't think we'll have any large quantities, although there will be a bit of drifting on the North Yorkshire moors, for instance, where showers along the coast are going to be rather more frequent and heavy than they will be further inland, particularly across the Pennines.
How long is this frost likely to last?
Well, temperatures will rise above freezing mid-morning in most places. Of course, as I said earlier, on the coast they are about +2 at the moment, but most people have got a temperature around -1 at the moment.
Well, as you said earlier, John, spring has been cancelled for the time being, but is this sort of snow seasonal? Is it the right time of the year for it?
I say it's not unusual, Bob. In fact, there are 1 or 2 quite notable cases back 50 or 60 years ago when quite heavy snowfall occurred about this time of year. So we can expect, on average, 4 days of snow in every March.
Oh, well, let's hope it doesn't last too long. OK, John, thanks very much.
Goodbye, Bob.
Bye-bye. Well, with all this snow, ice and these freezing temperatures around, there could be a few traffic problems, so let's go over and talk to Inspector Peter Brafton at Wakefield. Good morning. Well, this morning really is a surprise for motorists, isn't it?
It is indeed, yes.
We've got snow, black ice and all the rest of it. What's the situation like at the moment?
At the moment, things are very, very good. There has been some snow showers during the night, but this hasn't generally been allowed to settle on, especially on the major roads.
Presumably, there could be some black ice on the roads at the moment.
You probably find some on the minor roads and possibly on bends on the major roads, but by and large, the motorways and trunk roads have been well gritted by the highway authorities, and road reports from the motor patrol seem to show that the roads are clear of snow and ice, although the road surface is still wet. Possibly you might find some black ice on the bends or towards the edges of the roadways where the grit hasn't reached.
Oh, well, the message for motorists is watch out still. Many thanks indeed, Inspector.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, I wonder how Harold got into the picture there. Never mind. Well, now let's have a look at the day's papers. And, of course, it's the Jumbo collision that makes the big headlines this morning, with many of the papers following the story up on the inside pages. The Express calls it the horror the world has always feared. But, well, it's not all death and disaster, and there's a good smattering of exclusive stories too. In the Mail, for instance, how you can buy your way out of trouble provided you've got £500,000. And according to the story here, that's the price a big diamond dealer had to pay as an alternative to criminal prosecution for being involved in a smuggling racket. And talking about money, there's apparently £1 million missing from the accounts of the Bay City Rollers pop group. Well, the manager says it's only a drop in the ocean, but he wants every penny of it back, all 100 million pennies to be precise. Well, actually, I can see why if we turn to page 10 in the Mail, where the headline states that poverty is bad for your health. Get away. Closer to home, the Yorkshire Post takes a look at the problems facing people in all-electric flats, where families have to put aside anything up to £10 a week for the bill, and the headline says it all. It's a poor life in the all-electric Alcatraz. In the Sheffield Morning Telegraph, 2 photographs that highlight the perils of motoring, one of a car all but disappearing down a workman's hole, and the other showing a huge trail of fish which literally fell off the back of a lorry in the village of Swanwick. And I understand that mackerel fish cakes is the dish of the week in Swanwick. On the sports pages, plenty of news of Reaver's lineup for Luxembourg on Wednesday. Captain Kevin Keegan is making the news elsewhere, though. He's all upset the miners in his home village of Armthorpe by referring to it as a slump. Some good friendly advice from the miners, which I won't go into now. So, that's where we go now from... oh yes, talking about spring. Well, it may be a week old, and I had a quick look around the garden as I came out to work, and all the signs were there: a carpet of snowdrops, a few crocuses, even some daffodils, and a good inch of snow. And I always thought spring was all about something else. Well, now the spring has arrived, what do your thoughts turn to?
Love.
A romantic person, are you?
Oh, me, very romantic.
You're feeling very romantic at the moment,
Oh, yeah. Feeling fit as a fiddle, you know. Fit as a fiddle.
Got any romantic thoughts?
No, not at my age.
Romance at all?
Not really at the moment. I'm studying.
Romantic? Oh, past that stage now. If you put the clock back about 30 years.
I don't know if I should tell you.
Well, do you get romantic thoughts?
No.
None at all?
I haven't really thought about it, seeing as spring's not really here, you know.
You mean it's not hot enough yet?
Not really. It might ask me in a few weeks.
I will. Well, I don't know what happened to spring this morning. The temperature at Bawtry is 0. But let's have a look at what's on today. Theatre, sport, and yes, a news preview. Oh, that's right, and I'll be bringing you a regular diary of events. Well, today, Sir Harold Wilson keeps up that round of public appearances he's been making since retirement as Speaker at the Royal Institute of Chemistry Centenary do in London. In Blackpool, the National Union of Students are in conference, and they'll talk about that extra grant the government will announce today. They're the £1,000 a year students, of course. Don Revie, after sticking to the tried and trusted in his team selection, will talk more about Wednesday's World Cup tie at a press conference. Now, take the M1 to Birmingham for the World Table Tennis Championships, and 62 countries are competing. After Saturday's big race, the GGs are off at Leicester and Hexham. Swimming, Moira Houston of Leeds will be hoping for selection to the British team for the big international at Crystal Palace next month. Leeds is doing well all round in the sports world, and what a bruising battle at Headingley on Saturday. Well done, Leeds, to get into the Rugby League final against St Helens. Soccer, 5 league matches tonight. Sheffield United are hoping to win valuable points to keep out of the relegation zone, and Bradford and Barnsley have important games in their contention for promotion. Bradford now lie third. Quietish day in the Calendar region so far. In Hull, the Association of Passenger Transport Managers are meeting at the Guildhall. Ding dong, hold on.
I'll make changes if that's what you want.
What sort of changes?
Well, I can rebuild my place, just like we did Baldwin's. Even better, I can... And you needn't work at the cabin if you don't want to. I mean, if you want to stop working, that's okay by me.
It's no good, Len. I've thought about it and thought about it. More than you'd ever credit. The answer's got to be no.
So you had to discipline him?
Yeah.
Well, what did you do?
Told him not to say it again.
did he get 17 stitches?
Oh, he were a bit drunk, you see, and he didn't like me telling him off, and when he went to hit me, he slipped and hit his head on the one-armed bandit.
Billings, we may have a problem. That new recruit, Kelly Garrett, think she was snooping through my office. No, I'm not sure, but just in case I'm right. Now, don't panic. All I'm thinking about now is a warning. A very stern warning.
Action with Charlie's Angels, comedy with Selwyn Frogwitt, and drama in Coronation Street. 3 program highlights tonight on YTV. And that's where we end this first Good Morning Calendar. I'll be back at 1:20 and 6 o'clock. See you then.
Well, as John Hunter was saying a few minutes ago from Bawtry, fresh to strong northerly winds will give a bitterly cold day with further showers of hail or snow. Showers will be most frequent and heavy towards the coast, with some drifting on the moors and wolds. Good sunny spells will also occur, especially over the Pennines, where showers will be infrequent. Afternoon temperatures no higher than 4 or 5 degrees centigrade. Widespread moderate frost at first. And the outlook for this evening and tonight, frost becoming widespread after dusk. Showers persisting near the coast of Lincolnshire and Norfolk, but becoming isolated elsewhere. Well, now, Good Morning Television continues with cartoon time, and we have 2 little stories for you, Cuckoo and It's a Lovely Day. And the right time, 8:45.
Yorkshire Television, broadcasting from the Emily Moore, Belmont and associated transmitters of the Independent Broadcasting Authority. is Graham Roberts bidding you welcome to broadcasting from Yorkshire Television for today, Sunday, the 4th of November. We begin in 5 minutes with Getting On after checking on all the day's titles and taking a look at the region's weather prospects. Here they are. Showers could occur almost anywhere today, but they'll be most frequent over North Yorkshire and Humberside, where they may be prolonged at times this morning. Some brighter intervals are also expected, and it will again be cold, with afternoon temperatures around 8 centigrade, 46 Fahrenheit, and a fresh or strong west to northwest wind. Tonight, the showers will continue in the north and on the east coast, but it'll become dry elsewhere, with temperatures falling to 2 centigrade, 36 Fahrenheit, giving a touch of ground frost. Well, that's the weather. Now today's programme. Today and every day on YTV and Channel 4, the details are in TV Times. And we begin today with Getting On. time? Well, just about 2 o'clock on this Sunday morning. Time for me, Graham Roberts, to wish you all a very peaceful good night. But if you're staying up with YTV on the job hunt, here it is, the Regional Job Finder.
But now, 50 minutes in the presence of our dear Dame Edna. Smiles we gave to one another for the way we were. Can it be that it was all so simple then? Or has time rewritten every line? What's too painful to remember? We simply choose to forget. So it's the laughter we will remember.
Here's 30 seconds.
Anyone been here before?
Title Gambit, Program number 2, VTR number H64394, Part 1, VTR date 16th of September, transmission date to be announced.
Now here he is, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Fred Dinage.
Oh, dear me. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to the second programme in this brand new series of Gambit, the quiz for married couples. Remember, our couples answer questions. For each one they get right, they get a card. The name of the game is to try and get as close to 21 as they possibly can. If they score exactly 21, they walk away with a nice cash bonus. If they take too many cards and bust, well, they've lost the game. We start tonight with two brand new couples who want to play Gambit. Here now to introduce them, give her a nice warm welcome, please, our delectable dealer, the lovely Michelle Lambourne.
This evening are Mr. and Mrs. Gray, and they've come all the way from Norwich. Mr. Gray and Mrs. Gray are both retired. Also, we have Mr. and Mrs. Cole. They're from Willesden Green in London. Fred Cole is a bus driver and his wife is a school meals assistant.
Very nicely done. Yes. Beautiful, beautiful diction. Welcome, first of all, to the Greys from Norwich in Norfolk, Frank and Doris. Both of you retired. Are you happy in your retirement?
Yes.
You are. Doris, among your hobbies, quiz games. How about quiz shows on TV? What are your favourites?
Gambit.
Gambit? Yeah.
And the Sale of the Sea.
Thank you very much indeed, Doris. Fine, good luck to you two. And up against them, closest to me, are the Coles from Willesden Green in London, Fred and Julie. Fred, you're a bus driver. Enjoyable sort of occupation?
Yes, I quite like it. No?
As one Fred to another, do you like being a Fred?
Well, it's not all that, is it?
It's not all that,
It's
no.
not all that, no.
No. Tell me
something about the name Fred. It's
a little touch of class.
Well, I don't know about the class.
No?
They slaughtered it, didn't they? The Goon Show?
They did indeed, Fred.
Time,
yeah, we do sympathise with each other, don't we? Anyway, the best of luck to you two as well. Stop talking, Fred. It's the best of 3 games, each game worth £20 to the winners. The eventual match winners onto the Gambit board, and we hope the big money prizes. Running total won no less than 3 times last week. £200 to the couple who can score exactly 21. And that goes up £50 every match it isn't won. New game, new match, new pack of cards. Michelle, please cut that seal if you will. Offer them to one of our gentlemen to cut the pack to make sure of fair play. Frank Gray does the cutting. This being the start of the game, only at the start, we'll look at the top card, the one we're playing for, which is a 2. If you're ready, here we go. With which pop group did Mick Jagger achieve fame? The Coles.
The Rolling Stones.
Is the right answer. Do you want the 2 or do you want to give it away?
We'll take it.
You'll take it. What is a peruke? Peruke. Grays.
It's a hat.
It's not a hat, no. I'll offer that to the Coles. What is a peruke?
A dance.
No, it's not. A peruke is a wig, as in the well-known saying, isn't that a lovely peruke that John Benson's wearing? Now, the next card you haven't seen, do you want to take it or do you want to give it away? Do you want to have a look at it?
We didn't get it right.
Oh, of course you didn't. What
Oh, come on.
That serves me right, doesn't it, eh? Yes, that'll teach me. Never mock the afflicted. In which part of London, each August, is there a famous carnival? Coles.
Notting Hill.
Notting Hill is the right answer. Now, this one you haven't seen. Do you want to take it?
Yes, we take it.
To go with your 2, you've got an ace. That's worth 1 or 11. So you're on 3 or 13. You could stick on 13 if you want to. No, they don't want to. By what title is the Bishop of Rome generally known? Coles again.
The Pope?
Is the right answer.
Oh,
3 or
brilliant.
13 you have. They haven't started. Do you want the next card?
Yes, please.
8 would give you 21 and the running total. Michelle? It's a 2. Now you're on 5 or 15. You could stick on 15 if you wanted. No, they don't want to. OK. What is the unit of currency in West Germany? This time the Greys.
Deutschmark.
Yes, the mark, the Deutschmark is the right answer. Right, they're on 5 or 15. You haven't started yet. Would you like the next card?
Yes, please.
And you've got a nice one. King, a picture card. It's worth 10. That's a good start. In which village was Jesus born? Coles.
Nazareth.
Is the wrong answer. I'll offer that to the Greys.
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know?
I'm sorry. No.
The answer, audience, do you know the answer? Bethlehem, of course, is the right answer. What is flatulence? Coles.
Indigestion.
Yes, wind. Plenty of that on this particular programme.
There is.
5 or 15. You have 10, they have. Do you want the next card?
Yes, please.
6 would give you 21 in running total. Michelle, it is a 10. Now you've got to be on 15. Do you want to stick on it?
Gross.
Yeah, we'll stick.
They'll stick on 15. The other side then have to beat 15. To draw level is not good enough. 3 questions for each one they get right. They get a card. They already have 10. Here's your first question. According to the proverb, what does every cloud possess?
Silver lining.
A silver lining. And it's quite true, of course. Right, 10 you have, 15 to beat. An ace gives you 21 in running total. Michelle, it is a 5. It makes you level with them, but of course you've got to beat them. So you've got 2 questions left. In which country is the city of Budapest?
Oh my God.
If you don't know, worth a guess.
Poland.
No, it is Hungary. One last chance. Brasenose, Oriel and Balliol are all colleges of which university?
Oxford.
Is the right answer. 15 you have, 15 you have to beat, 6 gives you 21, more than 6 you bust. Michelle, 15 and 4 puts them on to 19. That's good enough, they've done it. The winners of the first game in this match are the Greys, Frank and Doris. Well, a good game, as they say, to open with. It means the Greys, Frank and Doris, go into a 1-0 lead, £20 for them. Start of the second game now. Important that the Coles, Fred and Julie win this one to stay with us. We'll look at the top card, Michelle. It's a 5. How many sides has a pentagon? A pentagon. Worth a guess if you don't know. Coles are going to guess.
7.
Is the wrong answer. Greys. 9 is also the wrong answer. It is 5. What colour is the drink absinthe? Coles.
White.
Is the wrong answer. Greys.
Green.
Is the right answer. Do you want the 5 or do you want to give it away?
Yes, we'll take it.
You'll take that one. Okay. What is an incisor? An incisor. Greys.
It's a tooth.
It is a tooth used for cutting. Do you want the next card, which you haven't seen?
Yes, please.
To go with your 5 you've got, a 6 puts you on to 11. That's a good place to be. In which city is the Empire State Building? This time the Coles.
New York.
Is the right answer. Do you want the next card?
Yes.
And you've got a jack. That's worth 10. That would have given them 21, and the running total had they won it. What is meant when a ship flies a Union Jack or ensign upside down? Coles.
It's in distress.
It is indeed. Do you want the next card? You have 10, they have 11. You're looking for an ace to give you 21 and running total. It's a king. That's close. It puts you on to 20.
Stick.
They stick on 20.
Brilliant.
The other side have to beat 20. They've got to score exactly 21. 11 they have at the moment. 3 questions. Here's the first. Which kind of animals figure largely in the novel Watership Down?
Rabbits.
They do indeed. 11 you have, 20 you have to beat. You ideally want a 10 or a picture card on the running total as well. It's a 9. How close can you get? It puts you on to 20. You've got 2 questions left. See if you can get them. From which country does the young gymnast Nadia Comaneci come?
Russia.
No, she doesn't. She comes from Romania. On which main river is Paris situated?
Seine.
It's on the Seine. Right, this card has got to be an ace, otherwise they've beaten you. And if it's an ace, you've got 21 and the running total. Is it an ace, Michelle?
Feels good.
It feels good. No, it doesn't. It's much too high. It means the winners of the second game in this match to make it 1 game all are the Coles, Fred and Julie. Good. Excellent. That's the way we like it. 1 game all, it's nicely poised, it's nicely balanced. And of course that means £20 now into the kitty for Fred and Julie Cole. Third, final, decisive game to play now. Winners of this onto the Gambit board. Michelle, please, the top card. It's a 7. Which string normally plays the lowest note on a violin? Well worth a guess, this one. Which string normally plays the lowest note? Think of Michelle Lambourne, a G string. On which ship did Fletcher Christian lead a mutiny? Greys.
The Bounty.
The Bounty. Do you want the 7?
Yes, please.
You've got it. It's yours. Here we go. Who wrote the novel Nicholas Nickleby? Greys again.
Dickens.
Charles Dickens. Do you want the next card?
Yes, please.
And to go with your 7, another 7 puts you on to 14. Batik is a method of doing what? Batik. B-A-T-I-K. Difficult one, this. I wouldn't have known it either. Almost impossible to guess as well. Shall I tell you the answer? Because you don't know. A way of printing on cloth, decorating cloth by using wax and dye. Of which country is Hirohito, the emperor? Greys.
Japan.
Japan is the right answer. Right, 14 you have. Do you want the next card?
Yes, please.
You'll take it to go with your 14. If it's a 7, it gives you 21 and running total and the match. Michelle, 14 and... Oh! It's too many. They're over the top. They burst, and without playing a card, it means the winners of the game and the match are the Coles, Fred and Julie. Well, that's unusual, but it's one of the intriguing twists and turns of this game of Gambit. The Greys, Frank and Doris, we lose you, I'm afraid. You got a problem there, Frank?
Big one?
Have you got a problem?
No.
Oh, you're just chatting up Michelle for afterwards. Fine, understood. Lovely. Listen, you've been a super sporting couple. You've won £20. Have you enjoyed playing Gambit?
Very much.
It's been lovely having you. Ladies and gentlemen, the Greys, Frank and Doris. Well done to them. But for the Coles, of course, Fred and Julie, it's all happening. £40 in cash they have, and it's their turn for the first time to come and play the Gambit board. Well, there they are, those 21 numbers hiding the secrets of 21 prizes. We can learn a few of those lovely secrets now from the incredible JB, John Benson.
Yes, indeed, Fred, here they are. This week's prizes include, for the early starter, this 8-day brass Swiss alarm clock, a holiday of 7 nights in Portugal, together with a hire car and unlimited mileage. And for those at home, this dishwasher worth £230. And while it does the work, you can find time to play. How about 2 squash rackets and a dozen balls? And behind number 21, this week's major prizes. First, how about this fabulous fitted kitchen, comprising a high-level oven, separate hot plates, a cooker hood, and a sink unit, finished in dark enamel and a light oak veneer. Would brighten up any home and give the busy housewife a kitchen to be proud of. Then an even bigger and better holiday this week in Rio de Janeiro, staying at the Hotel Luxor, located 50 yards from the famous Copacabana beach. Take in an excursion by tram through the old city or visit the incredible Sugarloaf Mountain. Sample an exhilarating cable car ride to one of the most famous and beautiful views in the world, and witness the Brazilians' love of music with carnivals and samba parades. Yes, it's a breathtaking holiday for 2.
Yes, indeed, those star prizes get bigger and better. So what's going to happen then to Fred and Julie Cole? Will they score exactly 21 and take away one of those 2 fabulous star prizes? Will they win lots of other prizes from the Gambit board, or will they take too many cards, bust and lose the lot? We shall find out in just a couple of minutes from now.
Title Gambit Program number 2, VTR number H64394, Part 2. VTR date 16th of September, transmission date to be announced.
Welcome back to Gambit, where the Coles, Fred and Julie are about to play the Gambit board, hoping, of course, to score the magical 21 and get choice of star prizes, that luxury £2,500 fully fitted kitchen, or a holiday for 2 in lovely Rio. OK, Michelle, cut the seal if you will. Offer them now to old King Cole to cut the pack. And Julie, please, a number now from you, 1 to 20.
Number 8, please.
Number 8.
Number 8. Milk or cream? That's the question, because this is a coffee percolator with the answer to those quick breaks.
So, things could be bubbling along nicely as long as the card is all right, Michelle. What is it? It's an ace. That is a very, very good card indeed to have. Fred, please, a number now from you.
11.
Number 11.
Number 11 is these candelabras, which will grace any dining table and impress your visitors for those extra special occasions.
So, 2 nice prizes then from the Gambit board, but of course what they really want is the 10 or a picture card to go with the ace to give them 21 and choice of star prizes. Will it be a 10 or a picture card? Michelle. It is! They've done it! 21. Choice of star prizes. That is super. First star prizes of the new series come across into my kitchen and we will discuss it further. Big round of applause from ladies and gentlemen. Good, well done. Congratulations. Well done. Well done, Fred.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, as a bus driver, you can now pretty well afford to buy your own bus. But in fact, your choice really is easy and yet it's hard because you've got the choice £2,500 worth of beautiful kitchen furniture or that incredible holiday of a lifetime for two in Rio in Brazil. You've got 5 seconds to make up your minds.
I think we'll go flying, kid. That's it.
You're going to go flying? You're going to go on a holiday? Listen, well done. Many congratulations. I hope you have a lovely time. Send us a card from Rio, will you? Because it's the first holiday you've had for a long time. Or it will be.
Come with us.
I'll come with you. Yes, I will. I can't resist that invitation. But of course, the rules of the game... The rules of the game say once you've won a star prize, you have to leave Gambit, so leave us you do. But many congratulations once again. Ladies and gentlemen, a super couple, the Coles, Fred and Julie. Well done to you. So Fred Cole then drives off in his silver-plated new bus, and we now have two new couples who want to play the game of Gambit. So Michelle, please tell us who they are.
Some busman's holiday. Our next couple are Mr. and Mrs. Hutton from Tamworth in Staffordshire. Peter Hutton is a fire service station officer and his wife is a housewife. Also, we have Mr. and Mrs. Louthian from Lancaster. Peter Louthian is an agricultural relief contractor and his wife is a clerk typist.
Very nicely done. Yes. So, can I just say a very quick welcome to the Huttons, Peter and Lynn, because I want to keep the game moving now. Can I say welcome? I hope you do very well indeed. And up against them, the Louthians. Is that correct?
That's
Louthians,
right.
yes.
That's right.
From Lancaster in Lancashire, Peter and Rosie, the very best of luck to you two as well. It is, as I say, the best of 3 games, each game worth £20 to the winners. The eventual match winners onto the Gambit board. We've seen what happens there, haven't we? And the running total, not won in the last match, has now risen to £250 to the couple who can score exactly 21. New game, new match, new pack of cards. Michelle, please cut that seal if you will. Offer them to either of those gentlemen to cut the pack. Peter Hutton does the cutting, and this being the start of the game, we will look at the top card, the one we are playing for, which is a king. It's a good one, it's worth 10. Which Frenchman made popular the song Thank Heaven for a Little Girl? Huttons.
Maurice Chevalier.
Yes, you recognise it from my singing. Excellent. Do you want the king or not?
Yes, please.
You want the king. Talking of things musical, let's now have our musical question. I'd like you to listen, if you will, to this bit of music played for us by the bejewelled maestro, Peter Fenn himself. Then I'll ask you a question about it. Peter. In that song, thank you very much, Peter, that was lovely. In that song, what was the job, the occupation of the girls? Huttons?
Minor.
Yes, a minor 49er, the girl's dad, and she, of course, was Clementine. Good interruption. Do you want the next card?
Yes, please.
Looking for an ace to give you 21 and running total. I don't believe it. It couldn't be, could it, Michelle? It is a queen. It's close. Puts you on to 20. Do you stick on 20?
Yeah.
They do. They stick on 20. The other side then have got to beat 20. They've got to score exactly 21. 3 questions for you. Nice and relaxed. Which day of the week is named after the Norse goddess of love? It's not easy. And if you don't know it, it certainly is worth a guess.
Friday.
Friday, you said. I'm going to give you that. That was an extraordinarily accurate guess. I'm going to accept that. What made you say Friday? You needn't answer that if you don't
Pure
want
guess.
to. Purely a guess. It was a good guess. Right, your first card with 20 to beat is a 2. It's a low one. You could do with some higher ones than that. Food. Of which animal is a flitch a part? A flitch.
Pig.
A pig is the right answer. This has got to be a high one, Michelle. It's not high enough because no matter what the next card was, an ace or anything else, it wouldn't be enough to catch them. It means the winners then of the first game in this match are the Huttons, Peter and Lynn. So the Huttons, Peter and Lynn then into a 1-0 lead, £20 to them. And of course it's important for the Louthians to win this one to stay with us. Let's take a look at the top card, Michelle. It is a 3. What is meant in music by the term diminuendo? Huttons.
To get quieter.
Yes, getting softer, getting quieter. Well done. Do you want the 3?
No.
No? You're going to give it away. Tactics creeping in. In which sport is Lee Trevino famous? Huttons again.
Golf.
Is the right answer. Next card you haven't seen. What are you going to do with it?
Yes, we'll take it.
You'll take it, and you've got an 8. Which disease or virus was used to limit the number of wild rabbits? Huttons again.
Myxomatosis.
Is the right answer. 8 you have, 3 they have. What would you like to do?
We'll take it.
You'll take it to go with your 8. You have a 6, puts you on to 14. That's an awkward one. Do you stick on 14 or do you play on?
Play.
You play, right. Of which country was General Franco for many years the ruler? Lothians.
Spain.
Is the right answer. 3 you have, 14 they have. Do you take the next card or do you try and bust them?
We'll take it.
You'll take it to go with your 3. You have a king, which would in fact have bust them, puts you on to 13. Not a lot of points sticking there because they have 14. In 1884, what was invented by Lewis Waterman? Worth a guess if you don't know. Lewis Waterman. Lothians?
Water wheel.
No. I'll offer that to the Huttons. Lewis Waterman?
The watermark.
No, I can't accept that either. You do know, don't you?
Yes, it's showers.
What?
Showers.
You foolish girl. Showers? It was a fountain pen. What are we going to do with her? Who wrote The Hound of the Baskervilles? Lothians.
Conan Doyle.
He did indeed. Now, this is a very, very tricky one for you. You're on 13, they're on 14. Do you take the next card and risk busting yourself, or do you give it to the opposition and try and bust them?
We'll give it to them.
You'll give it to them. If you give them 7, you give them 21. If you give them more than 7, you've given them 1, but puts them on to 15. Now, Huttons, this is getting a very exciting game, isn't it, eh? Oh, it's good here. Right, 15. Do you want to stick on 15? Or play on a little bit?
We'll stick.
They're going to stick on 15. The other side have 13. They've got to beat 15 to draw level is not enough. This is getting ever so complicated. 3 questions. For each one they get right, they can have a card. In cricket, are you good at cricket?
No. Not really.
Well, maybe you'll get this one. In cricket, which county plays at home at Edgbaston?
Surrey.
Is the wrong answer. Little Miss Hutton over there said, oh, because of course it's the county that she lives in. It's Warwickshire. Don't worry, you still have 2 questions left. Of which American state is Salt Lake City the capital?
Utah.
Is the right answer. 13 you have, 15 they have. You have to beat 15, 8 gives you 21. Under 8 is fine, more than 8 you've bust and you've lost the match. Michelle, it is 13 and 7 puts them on to 20. It's good enough. It means the winners of the second game in this match are the Lothians, Peter and Rosie. Well, it was a very, very tense game, that. You must have felt it yourselves.
Yes.
You must feel a lot better now, I should think.
That's much better.
Well, that's £20 in the kitty for you. It makes it 1 game all in this particular match. And we really haven't got time for any more of this game. It's 1 all, third final and deciding game to play. We'd like to play that game next week at the start of the programme. Can you come back next week? Huttons, Peter and Lynn, can you come back next week? You can, all right. Lothians, Peter and Rosie?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can make it next week as well. And we'll start at this match between the Huttons and the Lothians. 1 game all, third and final game to play, and winners of that final game will, of course, go straight onto the Gambit board. This week, have you enjoyed it, madam?
I have enjoyed it, but I do think it was showers.
It was not showers, it was fountain pens. I'll see you afterwards. Right, that's it. Hope you've enjoyed the programme. We'll see you again next week. Until then, take care of yourselves. Have a very good week from all of us here on Gambit. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
now here he is, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Fred Dinage.
Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new series of Gambit, the quiz and card show for married couples. The original, but still the best. You remember the game, don't you? Don't you? Based on 21, Pontoon, 21, Blackjack, call it what you will. Our married couples answer questions. For each one they get right, they get a card. The name of the game is to get as close as they can to the magical 21. If they take too many cards and bust, then they lose. Each match, the best of 3 games, the eventual match winners go onto the Gambit board, and that's where we hope the big money prizes will be found. So Gambit's back, I'm back, but the fellas don't really care about that. They want to know if she's back. Well, the answer is yes, she is. Welcome her, please, our lovely dealer, Michelle Lambourne.
Good to be back. Well, our first couple that we welcome back from the last series are Mr. and Mrs. Needham from Harrogate in Yorkshire. Mr. Needham is a works foreman and his wife is a teacher. Also, we have Mr. and Mrs. Stephen from Pennycook, Midlothian. Mr. Stephen is a civil servant and his wife is a part-time shop assistant.
Well done. Yes. Oh, that's a good omen. She started well. So welcome back then to the Needhams from Harrogate, Graham and Glynis. On the last programme you were of the last series, you played the Gambit board once, you were unlucky, but you took home £40 in cash. Have you spent it yet?
Yes.
You have. Glynis, you're a teacher, aren't you? You want me to mention your school?
Oh, yes, please.
Mention it for me.
Bedale.
Now the kids are happy.
Yes, I hope so.
OK, good luck to you two tonight. Up against you, the Stephens, Dave and Roz from Midlothian in Scotland. Roz, you were born in Kenya, is this right?
Yes, that's right.
Listen very carefully for details of one of our star prizes a little bit later on. Good luck to you two as well. It's the best of 3 games, each game worth £20 to the winners. The eventual winners onto the Gambit board. Running total to the couple who can score exactly 21, £200 at the moment, and that rises, there it is, every time it isn't won. Right, Michelle, cut the seal, please, on that brand new pack of cards. Offer those cards to anyone you like. Graham Needham does the cutting, this being the start of the game and only at the start. We'll look at the top card, the one we're playing for. It's a good one, the King picture card, it's worth 10. Here's your first question. What was the title of Germany's wartime air force? Straight away, the Needhams.
Luftwaffe?
Is the right answer. Do you want the King?
Yes, please.
It's yours and it's worth 10. What type of oven is used for extremely quick cooking? Needhams again.
Microwave.
Is the right answer. Do you want the next card?
Yes, please.
Ace gives you 21 and running total. Michelle, it is a 6, puts you on to 16. You could stick on 16 if you so desired.
Yeah. Yes, we'll stick.
They stick on 16, the other side have to beat 16. To draw level is not enough. They get 3 questions. For each one they get right, they get a card. OK, nice and relaxed now. Here's your first question. Notably the West Country, what alcoholic drink do you connect with apples?
Cider.
Cider is the right answer. Your first card with 16 to beat. It's a 2. 2 questions left. Which flag is hoisted when a ship is about to leave port?
The Blue Peter.
Well done. 2 and 5 puts you on to 7. It can still be done as long as you get this last question right. Who were Charles Kingsley's aquatic infants?
The Water Babies.
They were indeed. 7 you have, 16 to beat. Michelle, 7 and that's good enough. It's worth 10. Puts them on to 17. Winners of the first game in this match, the Stephens, David and Roz. Well done to them. Yes, indeed. 1-0 then to the Stephens. David and Roz from Midlothian up there in Scotland. They lead 1-0. They get £20 for winning that game. Important the Needhams win this one if they are to stay with us. So good luck to you two. Let's look at the top card, Michelle. That is a 7. Can you name the famous Battle of Britain Hawker fighter plane designed by Sir Sidney Cam? Needhams?
Is it the Spitfire?
It wasn't. I'll offer that to the Stephens.
The Hurricane.
It was the Hurricane. Was that a guess?
No.
No, it wasn't a guess. All right, fine. Do you want the 7 or do you want to give it away?
We'll give it away.
You'll give it away to the other side. The other side's light has gone off now, that's fine. Which sport do you connect with the Calcutta Cup? Needhams.
Rugby.
Is the right answer. 7 you have, they haven't started. Do you want to take the next card?
Please.
You'll take it to go with your 7. 5 puts you on to 12. That's a sticky one. Do you stick on 12?
Oh.
You don't stick on 12. What is a Chihuahua? Needhams.
A dog. A dog.
It's a dog. Now, 12 you have. Do you want to take the next card?
Please.
It must not be a 10 or a picture card or you've bust. If it's a 9, no, that's fine. That puts you on to 16. Do you want to stick on 16? Difficult, isn't it? Or do you want to sort of keep it there for a bit?
Carry on.
You'll carry on for a bit. Right. Just mentioned Chihuahua. Who can spell Chihuahua? Needhams. Who's the speller here? The teacher, it's got to be. Yes. Now, if you get this wrong, you know, all those kids are watching you. This will be terrible.
CHIHUA.
Well done. So that deserves a round of applause, I think. Yes. Well done. Now, really, you deserve better luck than this, don't you? Because you're on 16. Do you take the next card or do you give it away?
Pass it. Give it away.
You'll pass it. You've passed them. An 8. That was the right thing to do. What was Buffalo Bill's surname? This time the Stevens.
Cody.
Cody is the right answer. You've got 8, they've got 16. What do? Do you keep it or do you try and bust them?
We'll give it away.
You'll give it away. They've got 16. 5 gives them 21. Under 5 is all right. More than 5 and they have bust. Michelle, it is 4. Well, well, well. This is developing into a fair old game, isn't it? That puts them on to 20. Needhams, do you stick on 20? Yes. You stick on 20. The other side have got to beat 20. They've got to score exactly 21. If they do, they get the running total as well. 3 questions. For each one they get right, they get a card. Here's the first one. On the road to where do the Flying Fishes play?
Mandalay.
They do indeed, yes. 8 you have, 20 to beat. Michelle, 8 and 3 puts them on to 11, so it can be done if the next card falls right. Second question, the kitchen. What do we call Hungarian red pepper?
Paprika.
Is the right answer. 11 you have, 20 to beat. 10 are a picture card, Michelle? It's a 7. 18 they're on now, 1 question left, so it can still be done. Now then, history. Can you name the ill-fated 9 Days Queen?
Jane Grey. Lady Jane Grey.
Is the right answer. Well done. 18 you have, 20 to beat. It has got to be a 3. Nothing else will do. It's an ace. What a brave try. A good fight, but it means the winners of the second game in this match to make it 1-1 are the Needhams, Graham and Glynis. Lovely. Well, that's the way. That's the way we like it. 1-1 now, everything to play for. £20 there to the Needhams. As I say, 1-1, the winners of the third, final and deciding game onto the Gambit board. Good one, this. Let's look at the top card, Michelle. That's worth 10, the Queen. At sea, what do we call a unit of speed? Stevens.
A knot.
Yes. Do you want the Queen?
Yes.
She's yours. In music, what does the term presto mean? Needhams.
Quickly?
It does, yes. Now, next card you haven't seen. Do you want to take it?
We'll take it, yes.
You'll take it, and you have got a 6. Right. The famous sculptor Epstein, what was his first name? Stevens.
Jacob.
It was indeed. Do you want the next card?
Yes.
Ace gives you 21 and running total. Michelle? 6 puts you on to 16. Do you stick on 16 or carry on?
We'll stick.
They stick on 16, the other side have to beat 16. 6 they so far have. 3 questions. Here's the first one. With what do you connect the study of entomology? Have a guess if you don't know.
Butterflies.
Can I accept butterflies?
Insects.
I can accept butterflies. Insects in general, butterflies I can accept. Fine. OK, 6 and with 16 to beat. Puts them on to 14, 2 questions left. This is a smashing game. What a good way to start a new series. The zodiac. How is the sign Cancer depicted?
The crab.
The crab. All right, let's see if you can crab any nearer to 21. 14 you have, 16 to beat. Michelle, 7 gives them 21. That is too many. What a shame. That's put them right over the top. It means the winners of the game, and indeed the match, are the Stevens, David and Roz. Well, it was a nice way to start a new series. It was a good game. It means, of course, we lose the Needhams, Graham and Glynis. You played extremely well. You take away another £20. Have you enjoyed playing Gambit?
Thanks. Very much.
You've played it well. You're a nice couple. Ladies and gentlemen, well done to the Needhams. Thank you very much indeed. But the Stevens, David and Roz are still very much with us. They've got £40 in cash now. That is theirs no matter what. And it's their turn to come and play for the first time in this series, the Gambit board. Well, there they are, those 21 numbers, hiding the secrets of those 21 lovely prizes. Let's now hear about some of those prizes from JB, John Benson.
Somewhere on the board this week is this 25-piece dinner service and this pair of matching watches. For the kitchen, a fast-working microwave oven, which will give you more time to relax in this luxurious recliner chair. And behind number 21, our choice of star prizes. First, a set of dining room furniture. A 2-leaf table, 4 side chairs, 2 carvers, all upholstered in a green Draylon material, plus this magnificent 4-cupboard sideboard, all in yew. Or how about a holiday? 2 weeks in Kenya, staying at the Mombasa beach. A first-class hotel on the tropical white sandy beach on the edge of the Indian Ocean. Plus a 3-day southern Kenya safari tour through the vast parks and animal sanctuaries around Mount Kilimanjaro. A really memorable holiday for 2.
So, can the Stevens win one of those 2 fabulous star prizes? Can Roz go home again to Kenya? All they want is the magic 21. They'll find out, you'll find out, we'll all find out in a couple of minutes from now. Welcome back to Gambit, where the Stevens, David and Roz, are looking for the magical 21 and choice of star prizes on the Gambit board. Michelle, a brand new pack of cards. Cut that seal, please. Offer them, if you will, to David to cut the pack. And then, Roz, please, I would like from you a number 1 to 20.
17, please.
Number 17.
Number 17 is a set of record tokens. With a £50 voucher, you can go and buy all the records or cassettes of your choice.
So, a nice musical start. Let's see what the cards like to go with it. 5. I've seen worse. I can't remember where, but I must have done. David, number from you, please. 1 to 20.
19.
Number 19.
Something for the executive. This maroon calf leather desk set with gold tooling includes a desk blotter, a pen holder, memo pad, to name but a few. And it would cost you £291.
So, that's pretty well £350 worth of gifts so far. Michelle, the card to go with the 5, and this is fairly important, is 3. That's fine, so you can't possibly bust. You're on 8 now. Roz, please, a number from you.
9.
Number 9.
Is a pair of watches. There will be no reason for either of you blaming the other for being late with these lovely gold-plated quartz watches.
They'll be watching the next card with interest. Michelle, to go with their 8, they've got... That's worth 10, puts them on to 18. Do you stick on 18 and keep your prizes?
We do.
You do. I can't say I blame you. So you stuck on 18, you keep the 2 watches, the record tokens and the desk set. Very nice indeed. 18, 21, 3 between them. Would we like to turn over the next card, audience? The game is over. Yes, we would. Would you like to?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
You would? Oh, fine. Would it have been a 3? No, they made the right decision. Well done to the Stevens, David and Roz. Well done to them. And they're still with us in the game. They're still fighting, and they now meet the challenge of a new couple who want to play Gambit. Michelle, please tell us who they are.
They are Mr. and Mrs. Walker from Plymouth in Devon. Mr. Walker is a foreman carpenter.
Yes, we'll say welcome to the Walkers from Plymouth in Devon, John and Shirley. John a Yorkshireman, Shirley a West Country girl. But the mix has worked well, hasn't it? You've been married a long time.
Yes.
Yeah, good. You look well on it too. Good luck to you two tonight. Best of 3 games, each game worth £20 to the winners. The eventual winners on to the Gambit board. That running total now, not won last time, has risen £50. It now stands at £250 if they can score 21. New game, new match, new pack of cards. Michelle, please cut that seal if you would, please. Offer them to that man of Yorkshire grit next to you, John Walker. He'll cut the pack. And this being the start of the game, we'll look at the top card, the one we are playing for. It is the 2. If you're ready, here we go with your first question. What do we call keen amateur radio operators? The Stevens.
Hams.
Hams is the right word. You could have been thinking of me at the time. Do you want that 2 or do you want to give it away?
We'll keep it.
You'll keep that one. Let's have our musical question now. Listen, if you will, to this piece of music played for us by Peter Fenn. Then I'll ask you a question about it. Peter. Here's your question. How were the people mentioned? Walkers.
Sleepy.
Good interruption. I was going to say, how were they feeling, the people mentioned in that tune title? Sleepy, yes, 2 sleepy people. That was a good interruption. Do you want the next card?
Yes, please.
You do, and you've got a 6. Who is the professor, the arch criminal in Sherlock Holmes stories? Walkers.
Moriarty.
Moriarty, indeed. Do you want the next card?
Yes, please.
To go with your 6, you have an ace. That's worth 1 or 11, so you're on 7 or 17. You could stick on 17 if you wanted to.
Yes, okay.
They'll stick on 17. The other side then have to beat 17. They get 3 questions for each one they get right. They have a card. 2 they have so far. Here's your first question. On which river does the German city of Bonn lie? If you don't know, it's worth a guess. Pity. The Rhine. Your second question. Camping. What do we call a circular tent?
A bell tent.
Is the right answer. Yes, 2 you have, 17 to beat. 2 and Michelle, this is crucial. 2 and 5 puts them on to 7, so they can still do it, provided the next card is an ace, and provided, of course, they get the question right first. What is the term for heavy material used to steady a ship or balloon?
Ballast.
Is the right answer. This has got to be an ace. Is it? No, it's not. Hard luck. It means the winners of the first game in this match are the Walkers, John and Shirley. Well done. So the The Walkers then, John and Shirley, off to a good start. They go into a 1-0 lead, £20 for them, and of course important for the Stevens, Dave and Roz, to win the next one. We'll look at the top card, Michelle. It is a 2. Here's your first question. What is the name of the loose, floppy overall sometimes worn by artists? Walkers.
Smock.
Is the right answer. Do you want the 2?
No, thank you.
You'll give it away. Tactics creeping into this. In which country is the seaport of Rostov-on-Don?
France.
Walkers. You've said France. I've got to take France. Stevens, I'll offer it to you.
Russia.
Is the right answer. Right. 2 you have. They haven't started. Do you want the next card?
Yes.
You'll take it to go with your 2. 10 puts you on to 12. Difficult one. Do you stick on 12 or do you press on?
No, press on.
You'll press on. Fine. With which part of the body is a dermatologist concerned? Walkers.
The skin.
Is the right answer, yes. Do you want the next card or do you want to try and bust them? They're on 12.
We'll have the next one.
You'll take it and you've got a 7. What is the overall term for fishermen's gear, such as rods, reels, hooks, etc.? Walkers.
Tackle.
Is the right answer. 7 you have. Do you want the next card?
Yes, please.
Go with your 7. Puts you on to 17, that 10 does. Do you stick on 17?
Yes, please.
You do. The other side have to beat 17. 12 they have so far. 3 questions to come. In which ocean are the islands of Tristan da Cunha?
The Indian Ocean.
No, the Atlantic, the South Atlantic. 2 questions left. How many people are there in a septet?
7.
7 is the right answer. 12 you have, 17 to beat. Michelle, 12, and I'm sorry, that's too many. It's bust you, put you on 22. It means the winners of the game and indeed the match are the Walkers, John and Shirley. Well, that means we lose the Stevens, David and Roz, but they've done pretty well. Some nice prizes off the Gambit board and £40 in cash as well. Have you enjoyed playing Gambit?
Very much.
Thank you very much for playing the game. Ladies and gentlemen, the Stevens, David and Roz. Well done to them. Walkers, though, from Plymouth are still with us, very much indeed. £40 in cash they have. Their turn now to come and play the Gambit board, hoping, of course, to get the magical 21 choice of star prizes, that lovely set of dining room furniture, or that luxury 2-week holiday in Kenya. Right, Michelle, cut the seal on the pack, please, if you will. Offer them now to John to cut the pack, and Shirley, please, I'd like a number now from you, 1 to 20, but not a number that has already been taken.
Number 10, please.
Number 10.
Anyone for tennis? Well, here we have 2 rackets and 1 dozen tennis balls, which cost £90. Are you a sporty lady?
Not me, no.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine then. Let's see what cards you've got to go with your sporty gear. It's a 4. Right. OK, John, please, a number now from you.
Number 3, please.
Number 3.
Number 3 is a good idea. No more waiting for hours for the dinner to cook with this microwave oven. Definitely the housewife's choice.
So, that's a lovely prize, isn't it? That's nice. Right, to go with your 4, you've got... Puts you on to 14, that 10 does. Now, do you stick on 14 and keep your sports gear and your microwave oven, or do you think there's a long way between 14 and 21? We could sneak in another one and perhaps get the magical 21. The choice is yours.
Please.
Stick, please.
You're going to stick. They stick on 14. They keep the microwave oven. They keep the sports equipment. Not supposed to do it twice in a programme, but I couldn't resist looking at the next card. Could you, ladies and gentlemen? Do you feel the same way? Yeah. Yes, they do.
Thank you.
Would you two like to hear the
Yes,
next card?
fair enough.
You would. 14 and... They made the right decision. Well done to the Walkers, John and Shirley, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, a good decision. Furthermore, they are still with us. We've got a new couple now who want to play Gambit. Michelle, please tell us who they are.
They are Mr. and Mrs. Leeming from Bury in Lancashire. Mr. Leeming is a garage proprietor.
Lovely. Well, welcome to the Leemings, John and Margaret from Bury. Running out of time, so can I press on and just say good luck to the pair of you. Best of 3 games, each game worth £20 to the winners. Running total now, what is it? £300 to the couple who can score exactly 21. Michelle, please, cut the seal on that pack. I don't know how far we'll get through this game. John, please, if you'll cut the pack. Lovely. This being the start of the game, we'll look at it. There we are, the 3. Here we are. What name is given to the ceremonial form of Japanese suicide? Leemings.
Samurai, no.
No, I'll offer that to the Walkers.
Harakiri.
Harakiri.
Yes, harakiri. Do you want the 3?
No, thank you.
No, you'll give it away, right? What do you call poetry that does not rhyme? Either bad poetry or blank verse. From what tree do acorns come? This time the Leemings.
Oak.
The oak tree, yes. Do you want the next card?
Yes.
To go with your 3, you've got 10, puts you on to 13. You could stick on 13 if you wanted.
Play.
Your play on, right. In which continent is the river Limpopo? Walkers?
Africa.
Yes, Africa. Runs from the Transvaal to the Indian Ocean. Do you want the next card? They're on 13, you haven't started.
Yes, please.
You'll take it. You've got a 3. What is the short term for the International Criminal Police Commission?
Interpol.
Walkers, wait for me.
Interpol.
Is the right answer. Do you want the next card? They've got 13, you've got 3.
Yes, please.
To go with your 3, you've got 6, puts you on to 9. Who's been referred to as the Iron Lady? Walkers.
Margaret Thatcher.
Yes, do you want the next card?
Yes, please.
To go with your 9, you've got 3, puts you on to 12. You won't stick on 12, obviously. The atmosphere, what do we call a rising current of warm air? Walkers.
A thermal.
A thermal. Do you want the next card? You're
No,
on
thank-
12, they're on 13.
No, thank you.
You'll give it away. 13 and to the other side puts them onto 19. Do you stick on 19?
Yes.
They stick on 19. 3 questions to you. What was the Christian name of the famous Nurse Cavell?
Edith.
Is the right answer. To go with your 12, that is too many. It's busted. It means the winners of the first game in this match are the Leemings, John and Margaret. Good, exciting game to start this match with. Got to finish it there. Can you all come back next week? Yes. I'll be here. Michelle, you'll be there.
Only if you will.
I'll be here. See you then. Bye-bye.
And welcome as always to Sunday's Sunday. Now, quite honestly, we've got everything for you this evening. We'll be meeting that great Hollywood actor, Rod Steiger. We'll be having some wit and wisdom from lovely Arthur Marshall, music from Robert White, and we'll be guided through the shows of London by Sandra Dickinson and Spurs star Garth Crooks. But first, we're going to talk to a singer, actress, and comedienne who every Wednesday night is squashed between Benny Hill and Minder. Does she enjoy it? Well, we're about to find out. A big welcome for Julia McKenzie. Spot to be between Benny Hill and Arthur and the lot, eh?
Not bad, is it?
You get a bit of a kick out of it, Julie, do you?
Well, I think we're doing quite well in the ratings because of it.
I think you are.
Quite nice.
Actually, in your career, you've really done a bit of everything. You've practically done it all, but this is the first time you've been directing a play.
Yes, I know. I'm very nervous. It's been a great experience, absolutely wonderful. I've enjoyed it because I've got a terrific bunch of girls to work with, and I don't know about you, but I love other ladies' company, and it's been like one glorious hen party. I know whenever I see you, we generally meet in the ladies' loo at a lunch.
That's true.
And sit and natter until we get called back.
We miss everything. We always miss the dessert course by being in the loo. Anyway, how did it come about, though, that you're directing?
Oh, well, it's quite a long story if you've got half an hour, but...
Sure, we're not going anywhere, are we? No.
No, Richard Harris, the author, who also wrote Outside Edge, you know, the cricket comedy, I was in that a few years back. Well, last year, he and his wife and my husband and I went to the south of France together. And he's always sort of rather rung us up first and said, what do you think of this? And we give him our opinion. And last year, we're lying on the beach, and sheets of this came across the beach to me. And I said, I think this is damn good, Richard, very, very funny. I said, if you take my advice, you'll get a woman to direct it. I promise, with nothing else in mind. And he tried. Oh, my God, he tried. Finally, I can't remember whether I said, well, you'll have to use me, or he said, well, I'll have to use you. But eventually, we sort of had the reaction that I might be right, because it's about suburban tap dancers, and you know, that's all I am with, is suburban tap dancers.
Do you have some large suburban tap dancers in this production?
All shapes and sizes, yes. We've got, and one man. We've got 9 ladies and 1 man.
There must be a moral as to why the one man is amongst the ladies.
Well, yes, it's a strange thing. Richard researched it quite well. First of all, he went to pick up his own wife at her tap classes and got fascinated, and then used to go to 2 classes ahead and wait for her and just sit in the corner and watch. And he said the strange thing was there was always one man. And I know that I've been to aerobics classes and always one man, and you think, are they voyeurs or what? Why are they there? You know? But this one guy in it, and you never quite make up your mind about Geoffrey.
Oh, I see. Yes. One of those. We will not pursue that, in fact, Julia, no. Have you found it difficult directing?
Well, no. I went to the library and I got this book on how to direct a play. And it tells you everything.
As easy as that.
It tells you everything. No, the fact is that I hadn't done it before, but of course, you know, if you have quite a few years stage experience, it isn't so difficult. You know how a stage picture is made up, you know how the workings of a scene are. But the funny thing was, Anton Rogers, who plays William in Fresh Fields, he's done a lot of directing, and he said, look, as you're new at it, if you get more than 4 people on stage, you'll forget where they are at any given time. So he said, my advice is go and buy some toy soldiers. So this is true. And he told me this just before Christmas. And I went out and they'd all been sold. And all I could find was this tatty box of American soldiers, very plastic, with machine guns and one with a hand grenade. So I wrote the names on the feet between them. And stood there, because they were cheap, they kept falling over. And I made the dance teacher the one with the hand grenade out the front. And plotted them around like that.
And so they became your tap dancers?
Yes, quite a bit of subtext with the submachines going on.
Actually, you mentioned Anton Rogers, and of course, Fresh Fields it's a very successful series. But thinking about you and your tap dancing, I mean, that's like something Hester would do, really, within the series.
Wouldn't she? Yes, she. I think we actually would have done a tap dancing one, except knowing I was going to do this play, we sort of avoided it.
But you've got other parallels, haven't you, between the series and your own life?
You mean about...
Like your mother. I mean, she's not exactly the bottom of the garden or anything.
No. Well, we've got a wonderful arrangement. It's something I could recommend really quite a lot, but I think perhaps certain personalities work better than others. A few years ago, when my dad died, I got very guilty, being an only child, about my mother being on her own. So my husband, who's the dearest man, said, look, you're obviously unhappy about this. Why don't we get a big house together, and your mother and sister can have a flat in the house, and we'll live above. So we looked and we found this house, and it works like a dream. You have to lay down house rules, I will say that. You have to sort of say, look, no coming upstairs with apple pies. He married me, not the pair of you, you know. But it works out ever so well. It's a very, very good setup.
Is your mum still as doting as ever on Julia, her success?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm afraid she is. You know, she's the only person you ever knew. When I was at infant school and left, she got a job at the junior school serving dinners to make sure I had enough to eat. Yes, which is why I've always been a bit heavy, I think.
That's lovely. Actually, I know that you trained at the Guildhall.
That's right,
I mean, very early on. But when you graduated from there, did you get a lot of work immediately?
Yeah, well, I went straight into summer season and pantomime, and then I went into a tour of Rosemarie with David Whitfield. It does sound light years ago. It was light years ago. And then came quite a big period of being out of work. So I went and worked in the clubs in the north, and I don't think we're cut out for each other. Let's put it that way. I think they thought I was from another planet. And I think I died almost everywhere, because I'd take up music and say, could you play this, and the whole arrangement, and they'd say, haven't you got any of that music with the pictures on the front? and we didn't get on too well, except I must say, and you're like this, I played the Catholic club in Sunderland, and they all said, could you sing Danny Boy? Well, I didn't know I knew Danny Boy, but I thought, well, I'll try. And I sang Danny Boy all morning, and they kept saying, sing it again, and they were crying in their beer, and I must have sung Danny Boy 12 times.
It's not a bad song, really, Julia.
It's a beautiful
not
song.
such a bad song.
I think I knew it by the end of the morning.
Actually, you've become very much, in recent years, I mean, better known for comedy, very much the comedy roles, whether it's a singer or an actor. Or an actress. You're not really an actor, are you? An actress, yes. But when did you realise you had this flair for comedy?
Oh, well, I don't know. I think I've got a fairly round, funny face. I mean, that's been apparent for years, I think. But I never had... I always had these straight Rosemary roles and things like that. In fact, I thought I was going to be the big, dramatic soprano until one day when I was playing Rosemary, the director came along and... I'd shed many tears in this scene and the whole thing, and he said, my dear, I think one day you're going to be a very good comedian. It just wasn't exactly what I wanted to hear. And I think the first job that I had as a comedian really was in a show called Promises back in 1970. And I remember to this day, the first scene was sitting at a bar, and I perched up on a bar stool, and I did this line as truthfully as I could, and this enormous laugh. I'd never heard an audience laugh, and it was like a punch in the stomach, and I fell straight off the stool, and of course got another immediate laugh, and I could never repeat it, and realised you couldn't do that in comedy, not without any technique.
But you wanted to do comedy from there on in,
I realised it gave me the biggest sort of satisfaction that singing had given me up to that point.
The one thing that I loved watching you and Lily Martin in was Side by Sondheim. Now, he's got this tremendous sense of humour. What do you think makes it just so special?
I just think he's so adult and sophisticated. You find a lot of composers will write a love song that says, I love you, I love you, I love you. Stephen will say, the sun comes up, I think about you. The coffee cup, I think about you. It's like I'm losing my mind.
Yeah,
and to me, that gets in there much more than
I remember having to learn some of the words from The Boy From, and
you know that?
Well, I can only just remember the first bit of it. It's something they're doing a very childish voice, don't they? Tall and tender, like an Apollo, he gets walking by, and I have to follow. He's the boy from Tacarimba, La Tumba de la Fuego, Santa Maria, Zacataki, so on to Del Sol y Clues. Oh. I got the blues. Can you do the Welsh bit though?
The Welsh bit at the end. You've sprung this on me. Tomorrow he sails. He's moving to Wales to live in Llanfairfech when Githgo Gerach when Drwbwch Lladasilio. Go, go, go.
Julia, I wish we could go on talking. Maybe not the singing, but I wouldn't subject you to all of that. But thank you very much for joining us. I've loved it. And when do you open, in fact,
We
in your
open on
theatre?
Tuesday night, please, fingers crossed, at the Duke of York's in St Martin's Lane, and I hope you come and see us.
And the
very
title
soon.
again is?
Stepping Out.
That's it, Stepping Out with Julia McKenzie. Thank you very much. Well, we're going to be back in just a moment along with Arthur Marshall. We've got Sandra Dickinson, Robert White and Garth Krug. So I hope you'll join us right after this. like to keep you right up to date with what's happening in the entertainment world in London. And here to tell us about a new film and a new play which have just opened, we have our two guest critics. So back from last week, and I must say, not even looking any bigger, we have Sandra Dickinson, and joining us for the very first time on Sunday, Spurs footballer Garth Crooks. Quite a week, Garth, between dashing around seeing things and off to Portugal. You did well.
Indeed it was, yes. It was a very good result, and it's always very difficult in the first round of anything. But we did very well, and we're very pleased.
And well done. And I'm surprised you managed to fit in going to the movies and to the theatre. But we're going to look at the film Lassiter first, starring Tom Selleck. Now, this is very much set in London, isn't it?
That's right, yes. To my surprise, there's a lot of places that I did recognise, and that was refreshing in itself. You know, going to the big movies and actually seeing places that you do tend to associate going to the shops or to the museum. It's based in springtime London, 1939, and it's basically about the man Lassiter, who was a jewel thief, and this assignment basically is to steal $10 million of uncut diamonds, and he has a choice: either steal the diamonds or go to jail.
Have you noticed that millions of soldiers shoot and he never gets shot, not even once, not even Grey, Sandra?
No. Actually, there's an awful lot of shooting in this movie. To me, there was far too much shooting for it to be in London. It seemed more like Chicago to me.
After all, that's why Sandra came to live in England, wasn't it?
Did you get away from it all?
Yeah,
That's right.
indeed.
But is it your kind of movie?
Mine, no. I was disappointed with it. To me, it didn't seem like a big screen movie at all. It seemed like a made-for-television movie. And I kept wishing that Tom Selleck had a better vehicle, because he's a very good actor. I also wanted to mess up his hair a bit. He looked too tidy all the time. But I think he can be very good, and I just think the vehicle was not good enough for him.
The period was quite good, though, wasn't it? I mean, they certainly took up the 39...
1939 very well, I
Yeah,
thought.
well, I thought I was quite surprised by that, actually. I didn't think that anybody could make London look. I mean, in 1984, like it was taken in 1939. I was very impressed by that, but I don't know what Sandra thought.
No, I felt it smacked of 1984, despite all the...
Oh, dear.
the efforts. I really did. I mean, you could see the parking spaces, the modern parking spaces at the end and things like that. I just wanted it to be, like, have a bit more money spent on it, and the whole feel of it to me was they were making it up as they went along. It didn't have a real thread running through it.
Maybe, I think that maybe is looking more at the technical aspect of the film. I mean, I just went there basically to see Tom Selleck out of his Magnum role, which I did. I was impressed because I don't particularly like Magnum. There were 3 or 4 very, very good twists which I like. And I think I know you've seen the film, Gloria, and I think anybody who goes along and actually sees the film will be impressed, because at the end there is a little bit of a sting. I think those who've seen the film will know exactly what I mean.
Well, yes, I do actually think, though, that Sandra's right. In a way, he does deserve a better role. It's a bit too much escapism for me.
Yeah, I think he's a very fine actor, and he has yet to have the vehicle to reveal all in that sense.
Wasn't there a bit, though, where they had to really turn on the rain, towards the end, when it was bone dry, I think, in London?
Oh, yes, apparently, yes, according to the production.
There's a shot where Jane Seymour is at the Albert Memorial, and she's on the steps, and it's taken. I think it was actually filmed a couple of summers ago, where it was very, very hot, and obviously the cast the production team were looking for a very typical English weather, and they didn't get it, which is always the way. And they had to bring the London Fire Brigade in to actually dampen the whole area to get this effect. This is London.
To me, the whole thing smacked very much of an American's view of London. And I kept expecting Dick Van Dyke to come along as a chimney sweep with the cod Cockney accent. I just wanted a bit more real London and real period feel.
So a bit of a mixture of opinions there.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the play, because last week we had Mel Smith on the programme, and he was talking about big in Brazil at the Old Vic, so therefore that was your next stop. So, well, what do you think about the play?
Well, I enjoyed it very much. It's a very complicated plot, a la farce, and all the sort of things that you expect of a farce, for me, came true. I've got all the names here because it's very confusing because everybody plays everybody else in it. Timothy West plays Charlie Mucklebrass, and Prunella Scales plays Daisy Ray. And they're up the Amazon in Brazil, and Charlie Mucklebrass is going to give her big opening in Brazil, and therefore she's masquerading as Mrs. Patrick Campbell to do this, to win the crowds, who is the most beautiful woman in the world, and all the men in the play want to meet her and are already in love with her just because of her fame and the word going before her. Didn't explain that at all well, but anyway, they're in this hotel, and Jimmy Mulville plays the hotel manager and also his twin brother, who's a missionary with halitosis. Prunella and Timothy are doing a Georges Feydeau farce that is in fact not a Georges Feydeau farce, it's something they've made up. Georges Feydeau just happens to be there at the same time himself.
This is almost as confusing as Mel Smith found it last week. Did you understand the plot, Garth?
Well, I understood the plot.
I don't now, right?
I don't know if it's the same play that Sandra's talking about. I was left a little bit disappointed. In view of the person that wrote it, which was Bamber Gascoigne, Mel Smith directed, as we all know, and the cast, which was superb, Prunella Scales, Timothy West, Rodney Bewes, I expected more. Anything that Mel Smith seems to touch these days turns into gold, and I thought I was going to get a bellyache, and I was robbed of it. I just didn't feel that way, and consequently I left disappointed at the end of the day.
So would you recommend people to go?
Yes.
Oh, definitely supposed to see.
Fair enough, I'm glad you agree on that. Thank you very much indeed. Sandra, good luck with the baby. I know it's due at Christmas, and thank you for being with us.
Apparently pregnancy affects your brain a bit. So. Please excuse me.
Oh, I haven't even got that excuse.
It's a wonderful play, go and see it.
And Garth, you're going to be with us next week, so what are you going to view in this coming week?
I'm going to see Streets on Fire and Sadler's Wells Royal Ballet, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Off to the ballet, eh? Well, thank you both very much indeed. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Just to remind you that Big in Brazil is on at the Old Vic until the 27th of October, and Lassiter is at the Leicester Square Theatre and on general release, I suppose, at a cinema near you. Well, now, Call My Bluff, Angela Brazel, The New Statesman, and A Date with Nurse Dugdale. Now, you wouldn't have thought that one man could be held responsible for all of them. Well, he's here tonight. Arthur Marshall. You sound as if you're just glad to sit down, aren't you?
Yes, I'm very glad. At my age, who wouldn't be?
Actually, at last people are saying the autobiography, you've got around to it. Now, I think the titles for books are always very, very difficult. So how did you arrive at yours?
The book is called Life's Rich Pageant. And in the 1930s, heavens, what a time ago, I made some gramophone records of school mistresses. And in one of them, some girl had fallen in the river or had sat on her donuts or something like that. And I said, never mind, dear, it's all part of life's rich pageant, where molecules hurled hugger-mugger into life's foaming crucible. And so that seemed to be a suitable title for the book.
It certainly did. Actually, I know you've always been very fond of impersonating people, but I mean, why botany mistresses, Arthur?
Well, they all seem to be funny. I think perhaps I was the first to decide that schoolgirls were funny. Then we had Joyce Grenfell, then we had the St. Trinian, those marvellous Ronald Searle things. But I think I perhaps was the first person to realise that a little gym-slipped girl called Brenda Fothergill was somehow funny, the two names together, the Christian name and the surname. And so if one said, Brenda Fothergill, dear, what are you doing? It implied that she was stuffing donuts up her knickers or something. Or making an apple pie bed for matron or something, you know.
Actually, did your parents approve of you having these theatrical leanings?
Well, they were quite tickled by it, but my parents were extremely Victorian. And, of course, I wanted to go into the theatre, not to act necessarily, but to be in the theatre. And they were slightly horrified. They loved going to the theatre, but they rather disapproved of people who were in the theatre. And so, in my time, one did what one's parents told one to do, and they wanted me to be a schoolmaster. And so in 1931, I became a schoolmaster. I gave up any thought of the theatre, but you see, teaching is very much like acting. There you are in a classroom with a class of 30 boys who've got to be entertained, amused, instructed. You're on a little dais, you're perched up as though you were on a stage. And it's very like acting. So in a way, I got that bug out of my system.
It was languages you taught, wasn't it?
I taught French and German.
Well, was it because that you had languages that you were brought into the intelligence side of the war?
It was. How grand it sounds, the intelligence service. Everyone thinks of Mata Hari and spies with enormous bosoms and this thing. None of them came my way.
Why did you relish that side of the war, though?
Oh, I've been happy all my life, and the war was interesting. I mean, it was appalling that people should be being killed. But on the whole, I had a very enjoyable war. I spent half the time in Mountbatten's headquarters at Combined Operations. And that was very fascinating. Mountbatten was the most marvelous man. He wanted everybody to be happy. We all hero worshipped him. And he wanted everybody to be happy. And on one occasion, I was sent for to go down to the entrance where we all came in. And there was Mountbatten, and he said, oh, there you are, Marshal. Now, I want you to find a place where the sentries can stand where they're out of a draft. I thought, this is very peculiar, soldiers minding whether they're in a draft or not. No, very well, no, we must get this right. Now, stand over there. Now, are you in a draft? No, sir, I said. Oh, well, that's very good. We'll put the sentries there. He was an extraordinary man. Of course, in the army, one had to have something of a sense of humour to get by. It was rather like charades. One was done up as a major or a colonel. And charades and theatricals helped one. There was one poor man that I was with, a major, who really had no sense of humour at all, and it was terribly sad, and I tried to make him jolly, but nothing would work. And he suddenly said to me one day, oh, I say, Marshal, I hear that everybody in the headquarters is using Christian names. What's your Christian name? Well, I've got 3 initials, and the first one is the letter C. So I said, oh, well, my C stands for Cynthia. And he said, Cynthia, that's a bloody silly name for a man. And I said, yes, isn't it? But for a week he called me Cynthia. Very, very loudly and clear. I say, Cynthia, come over here.
And I bet you relished every moment
Well, of course, I had to beg him to stop. I said, people are talking, but he never...
Well, during those war years, though, you started your radio career, and Nurse Dugdale emerged. Now, that was an unlikely character for you to come up with.
Very unlikely indeed. It was sort of fortuitous how it happened. There was an actor called Richard Haydn who made a great success in films. And he was over in this country doing a series called Take It From Here, of all things. And he fell ill with laryngitis. And the BBC rang me up and said, would I take over? And I said, well, I will indeed, but what on earth am I to do? And they said, well, you might pretend to be a nurse, come from the hospital to say how Richard Haydn's getting on. And so that was how Nurse Dugdale was born. The BBC were very worried because they thought that people lying ill in hospital would mind jokes about hospitals. Not a bit. They were our firmest fans. They adored jokes about bed pans. And nasal probes and drips and all the rest. They were happy as larks.
Although quite late on in your career, you turned to journalism. And in a way, when you think about it, the New Statesman was quite an unusual platform, though, for musings from Myrtle Bank, wasn't
My
it?
dear, why the New Statesman ever let me in, I can't imagine. I mean, I'm so conservative, I'm so far to the right, I'm out of sight. Totally conservative, but there we are, New Statesman, tremendously left-wing, Labour and all the rest of it. The then editor was Bruce Page, and he'd spent a lot of his time in Australia. So to make him feel at ease, when I arrived at the offices, I used to open the door and scream, "Cooey!" Which do Australians all scream cooey? I'm always told they do. Then I used to follow it up by saying, "Isn't Mrs. Thatcher doing well?" And of course they were furious. But they put up with it for 6 years, and I wrote once a week. 1,400 words, quite a stretch.
That's a lot of words,
Yeah.
all about Myrtle Bank.
All about. The New Statesman had a marvellous series of literary competitions, and one of them was to give the most misleading advice for foreigners, to get them into the biggest amount of trouble possible, foreigners coming to our country. And one of them was, on entering a tube train, it is customary to shake hands with all the other passengers. Just imagine it. And another one was, at cricket matches, there are places reserved for foreigners in front of large white screens. Your arrival will be greeted with shrieks and shouts. Oh, marvellous things. And one, if I may say so, rather disgraceful. There are very few public lavatories, but to the left of the road, you see a sign marked P. And that is where relief is permitted.
They're wonderful, though, looking back at those, aren't they?
Oh, lovely.
They're really wicked.
Oh,
Actually, in
dear.
your book, have you reminisced a great deal over this
I've
period
reminisced
of
a
writing?
great, one has to in an autobiography. Yes, I've reminisced a tremendous lot. And it was lovely, really, because I've been happy I mean, look at me. A sort of giggling 74-year-old buffer. And I've been happy all my life. I've been tremendously spoiled. I've had marvellous friends. I've laughed a great deal. And so as one wrote the autobiography, you know, people came to mind, friends, events, happinesses. And so it was lovely work. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
How did you create the Myrtle Bank? Because it's become such a catchphrase, and you know people really listen to every word, and imagine it, picture it all in their minds.
Well, some terrible sort of boarding houses in my youth were called Myrtle Bank. And one couldn't see a myrtle or a bank. It's like places called Blenheim and Chatsworth, you know, and so on. And so I wanted a sort of awful name for a house in the country, so I coined Myrtle Bank. Actually, it's very nice. It's deep in the heart of Devon. Do you know Devon at all?
I don't very well.
Oh,
no.
it's lovely. And the people are so nice, charming.
And you're very happy staying down
Very
there.
happy. You see, I have the best of all worlds. I come to London to do Call My Bluff and other things. And so I love being in London because I go to theatres and I meet my friends and so on. And then on the other side of the coin, I have lovely rural Devon.
Mind you, the last I heard, you were up an apple tree or something trying to harvest all your apples.
Yes. Yes, we have a marvellous apple harvest with about 6 tons. I used to clamber up the trees and help to pick them, but now I stand at the bottom and say, well done.
You employ others to shake them up,
I
do you?
employ
Yes.
others. You never know quite where they are in an orchard, and you wonder where they've got to, and you suddenly see a tree going like that, to all the apples fall off, and then we pick them up from down below.
Do you have them made into cider or anything?
A lovely firm called Whiteways makes them into cider. There used to be a terrible thing about cider making. In order to make the thing ferment, there was said to be placed a dead rat in the juice. Don't let me put anybody off cider.
There'll be nobody going to Myrtle Bank for a cup of your cider, I'll tell you.
I don't think so.
Did you find the discipline of sitting down to write about your life, was that very difficult? Because you've been talking about it for quite some time, but did you find it hard to put it in book form?
It wasn't really very difficult because I didn't do it in chronological order. I think it's so terrible when an autobiography begins with a sentence like, "The family hailed originally from Cleckheaton in 1660 or something." You would think, oh my heavens, when are we going to get to the present day? So I started in more or less the present day and then simply wrote about things as they occurred to me, not in any chronological order.
And do you, as a matter of interest, still read an awful lot of humour? You mentioned that you're a real giggler, a born giggler, but you like to read humorous books too?
I read humorous books. I read the same books over and over again, and I know P.G. Wodehouse almost by heart. And every night, you see, when I'm going to bed, I have a nice book, an autobiography or biography, which I read, but then I put it aside and I pick up P.G. Wodehouse and I read one paragraph, 2 paragraphs. The writing is so perfect, the jokes are so marvelous, and it simply relaxes one. I then put the book down, and I'm away, fast asleep, happy as a lark.
Smile on your face the whole night.
Oh, of course.
Arthur Marshall, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Well, it's not very often that a singer of ballads gets to entertain 3 American presidents, a prime minister, and a handful of monarchs. But my next guest has done precisely that. He's been compared to the legendary Count John McCormick, but sings everything from an Irish lullaby to Bach. But tonight, it's the old favourite, I'll Walk Beside You, and from New York, it's Robert White.
I'll walk beside you through the world today, while dreams and flowers and songs will deck your way. I look into your eyes and hold your hand. I'll walk beside you through the golden land. I'll walk beside you through the world tonight, beneath the starry skies ablaze with light, and in your heart love's tender words I'll hide. I'll walk beside you through the eventide. I'll walk beside you through the passing years, through days of cloud and sunshine, joy and tears. And when the great call comes, the sunset gleams, I'll walk beside you to the land of dreams.
Well, many thanks indeed to Robert White, and he was accompanied there by Tim Barrett. Just to remind you too about Robert, because he's about to start a nationwide tour, including a date at London's Wigmore Hall, and that's next Thursday. Well, you don't have to wait just exactly that long for us to come back. We're back right after the break with that great American actor, Rod Steiger. those great films like Dr. Zhivago, The Pawnbroker, On the Waterfront, Oklahoma, and In the Heat of the Night. Well, my next guest helped to make them part of the Hollywood legend. He also has played in his time Napoleon, Mussolini, Al Capone, and the Pope. Now, he's been in England filming The Glory Boys for television, and in it he plays an Israeli scientist threatened by terrorists.
We'll establish it now, once and for all. Neither of us would ever have the arrogance to pass judgment on your work. We expect the same courtesy from you.
And if you are the target?
You are the target. We have to stand in front of you.
We understand you, if you understand us.
I understand a lot of things, but I don't understand these extra formalities at the airport.
Because of these, Professor.
Well, then do you think they're a rumor or they're a reality?
Who?
Who? The barbarians were trying to kill me, that's who.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're delighted to welcome Mr. Rod Steiger. Well, it's lovely to see you in the studio, and by all accounts, it's a very, very powerful three-part series, The Glory Boys. What was it that attracted you about the part and brought you to this country?
Well, I don't get a chance to play good people. I always get a chance to play people that are strong or people think they're not good, and I don't like that. And this gave me a chance to do something a little different than what I've been doing. Also, it was a nice part. I liked the script, and I only made one request that the author and I would work together and see if we get a script, get a speech that he gives where he's against nuclear energy. And everybody agreed, and I came over and I discovered the loveliness of York and Harrogate and places like that. So I was also, now they gave me a chance to see my daughter who lives here.
You didn't start off in the acting profession originally. That's not how your career started off.
No.
Again, what was the big attraction of acting?
That was a fault of good-looking ladies, that's what it was. I was working in civil service, and we talked to each other. We checked notes, the boys, and we start figuring what's going on, who's going out with who. And we found out that on Thursday night, or Thursday evening for some reason, all the girls were busy saying they had to go someplace. And we discovered where they had to go. They went to a little theater that was organized by the social director. And we went down hoping that we would get lucky with the girls downstairs, and I went down. And sure enough, there were all the girls who were busy on Thursday night, and we were delighted, and we thought maybe we would get lucky. And then what happened was I did a couple of little one-act plays, one which must have been horrendous because it was called Helena's Husband, if you can imagine walking around playing a Greek tragedy at that age, or comedy at that age. And the woman finally said, "Why don't you take it seriously?" And I said, "I don't know about taking it seriously. I had never seen a play." I said, "Do people take this seriously?" He says, "Yes." So I went over and I said I couldn't do it, and she said, "Yes, you can, because you have the GI Bill of Rights. That was the government paid for your education." Well, that was better than working in civil service for me. So I went into the acting field, and after about 2 months in the acting field, I realized by just a stroke of nature, a stroke of luck, that this was where I belong, because I have a difficult time with a set regime, no matter where it is. I don't like it. I like a little looseness, and I like a little freedom.
So how do you rate it overall as a profession, now that you've been in it for quite a few years and had so much success?
Well, it is one of the worst in the sense of averages. I mean, I don't know about England, but in America, less than 1% of the workable actors get a job. Less than that, .0 something, make enough that it's on the poverty wage. Well, let's put it this way. Let's say there's 3,000 acting jobs a year or 5,000 acting jobs a year. There happens to be 92,000 actors trying to get those jobs.
Actually, you've played so many brilliant historical roles, but which one do you reckon has given you, say, the most pride when you look back?
The historical ones? Mm-hmm. Well, I guess I kind of like My Napoleon because I thought it was a fairly truthful edition. You know, I never once put my hand inside my coat or all that junk, and I had a chance to examine the man and to get to know him. I like that one very much. And then another one, which people say I'm very close to, which disturbs me because he was a very lonely man, and that was W.C. Fields. Those two were very interesting people to me. Then I did the Pope and Rudolf Hess and Wyszynski. So many, I don't know.
When you mentioned Napoleon as first in line, I mean, when you think of the battle scenes there, that must have given you some trials and tribulations, just so many people to manipulate.
Well, we made it in Russia, and they evidently, the financial part of their deal of the picture was, they were financed by themselves, and I think there was some connection to the film, to the branch of culture or propaganda, because they didn't seem to worry about wasting money. We actually had 12,000 Russian troops and 5,000 horsemen, all of them who were costumed and fitted to the period and the time, playing, actually were there. It was amazing. They also took a huge area of a square mile or more, and they painted it, sprayed it, different parts of the field, so it should look like autumn or whenever it was that he had the battle. Now, the strange thing that happened was I came to work one day and the sun is burning bright, and I woke up and I'm ready to work. I got my little Napoleon hat on and I'm ready to see what's going to happen. And he said, "You can go home," the director, Sergei Bondarchuk. I said, "Go home? Well, the sun's out. Why should I go home? I don't understand why I should go home." And he said, "That's all right. There's a big wind coming. And Moscow tells us," this is a phrase you hear all the time, "Moscow tells us we should tie everything down so it doesn't blow away, and you should wait in the hotel." Well, I go wait in the hotel for 2 days. Needless to say, the wind never came. What happened was the 12,000 soldiers, because we were only 9 miles from Czechoslovakia, were needed in Czechoslovakia for a show of force, so they changed uniform from the Napoleonic period into their modern-day dress, and they just disappeared for 2.5 days. That's what happened.
And fought their battles.
The politics comes first. You don't have a chance. And then the next day, 3 days later, when I was asked back to work, I said, "Sergei, what happened to the wind?" He said, you know, but strange things like that happen. We had a lot of, when you're in a community and nobody's allowed to talk to you, it's a strange feeling.
Do you mean you had to live separately from the Russians?
I never saw the Russian actors till they come on the set. We didn't even have lunch or dinner. The last thing we did was at the end of the night. I keep drinking this because I take a medicine that dries my mouth out.
There's nothing else in it, folks, either, I'll tell you.
Not at the moment, anyway. We'll get to that later, my dear.
Sounds promising.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Actually, I mean, bringing it back to W.C. Fields.
Yeah.
And what sort of a character was he?
He was a lonely, irascible, not a very nice person. But he, unfortunately, was cursed, like a lot of us are, with not being able to trust people. He had a determination that was extraordinary since, you know, he tried to run away from home when he was 8 years old, and 8 years of age, he knocked his father out by hitting him over the head with a crate. I mean, this was, you didn't get in this child's way, evidently. He didn't like it, right? And he always said that Chaplin was number one. And there's a speech in the picture where he says, you know, number one, I'm not number one anymore, I never was. Nobody cares, really, about number two. And that's about the best I can get, sweetheart, is number two. Hollywood's got no place for number two. And then the girl, his Carlotta Monte, the woman he lived with, tells him that he should brace up. And he said, no, certain things you can beat, but you can't beat not being number two. And that made me feel sad for him. I know what he's talking about. He had tremendous. He always called Mr. Charles Chaplin a damn ballet dancer. That's what he called him. He used to get sick. He couldn't watch him. That's how jealous he was.
Some of his one-liners were absolutely brilliant, weren't they?
Yeah, I love. Well, he had. I did a line that was funny. What I like, Or you take a drink out of a flask and he says, like blood to a vampire. I love that line.
What was the one about I never smoked a cigar before?
Oh, no, there's a couple I can't say on the air, I'll tell you that. But he was funny. I mean, he had an incident where they were trying to find him, trying to stop him for drinking, so he had this flask for coffee. And somebody said, where is he getting the drink? So we have 3 men hired to stop him from drinking, and he's getting bombed. Now, what makes him like that? And they went around, and sure enough, they found out he had told them that in the flask was pineapple juice. And they opened it up, and it was pure vodka. And what they did was they dumped it out, and they put pineapple juice in the places for real. Well, they were shooting the film, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the stage, came this voice and said, Who is it? Who's the son of a gun that put pineapple juice in my pineapple juice?
Actually, of all the people that you've worked with throughout your career, and there have been so many greats, you seem to have built up a great rapport with Humphrey Bogart.
Oh, well, Mr. Bogart was something very special. In fact, the real story about that film was that it was his last film, and he died of cancer of the throat, I believe, 2 months later. And when I heard he was dead, I remembered the incident where I came in one day, and I was working, and he wasn't scheduled to work. And down the street he came. He was a rather small man. And I said, Bogey, Mr. Bogart, what are you doing here today? He said, well, I've got to shoot some of these things over because my eyes are tearing. And I said, oh, I thought he was joking. I said, I'm sorry. Well, when he died, I realized how stupid I had been because he must have been in pain, and that's why his eyes teared, but he never told anybody. And he came exactly at 9 o'clock. He started to work at 9, and he finished at 6 o'clock. And I remember a lot of times they'd have a scene going very good, and it was 6 o'clock, and Bogart said, that's it, and start to walk. And they said, Bogey, please do one more shot. He says, 9 to 6. 9 to 6. It is now 1 minute after 6. I'm long due at home. And he left.
Well, Rod Steiger, I can tell you that it's just about 6:30, so we'll have to say goodnight. But may I thank you very much indeed, and we look forward to seeing the Glory Boys.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the Glory Boys. I think it's good, really.
We will. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rod Steiger. Of course, to all our guests. We'll be back next Sunday with another star-studded show. We'll have Dame Margot Fontaine, Pia Zadora, Michael Jackson's big brother Jermaine, and Christopher Reeve. So see you then. Have a very good week. Bye-bye.
Back to tonight, and hello to Vic Barham, who's working at this moment in the machine section at Express Newspapers. So, hello Vic, thanks for your letter. Let's keep our appointment with fear. Dracula has risen from the grave.
Deserves your undivided attention.
Joie de Vivre, the unique fragrance of France. Joie de Vivre, fresh as an April morning in Paris. Flirtatious as only the French can be. Joie de Vivre by Lanthric, daringly unconventional. Vivacious and lively. The true spirit of France. Joie de Vivre by Lanthric.
Welcome, 4:35 this morning. Nostalgia is certainly the key word when we take a little trip down memory lane for 50 years on. First, though, our feature film, The Curse of Frankenstein. If I were you, I'd watch it with a friend.
answer. Stones. When you're home and dry.
We now hand over to ITN for the latest news headlines.
Reagan arrives in Finland on his way to the summit. The president touched down a short time ago in the capital Helsinki for an 80-hour stopover before going on to meet the Soviet leader Mr. Gorbachev in Moscow. And in an interview...
Thames, a talent for television.
Thames will be producing many more programmes in the future, but this is the last we'll be transmitting. It's the best from Thames, and from me, goodbye.
Hello. Because it's the new year, here at Thames, we know you've been boozing away all night and are therefore sozzled out of your beans. So, here's the Kenny Everett Am I Too Sloshed to Take It test. How many fingers am I holding up? Wrong! You've failed and must therefore change channels immediately. Hello and a Happy New Year, or in harmony... Hello, 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 and a Happy New Year. Oh, it's so great to be doing a show on New Year's Eve, to know that I'm standing here and no one's watching. We've got a great show anyway, and you realize there's no commercial breaks until next year. At least you could look up when I'm talking to you. And now, this videotape.
Well, we have been actually on ITV.
Now on Thames Television in stereo, we have the first of two programmes on Harold Lloyd, the third silent screen comedy genius.
It was hazardous with the, one of the things was that we did about 4 or 5 of these thrill pictures, and it was hard to keep from being established as a thrill comedian.
Yeah.
Because that was just a small part of what we did.
Harold Lloyd was an ordinary American businessman who lived a conventional life. He'd get up in the morning, he'd go to work. His work was being a genius.
I would say he was one of the most charismatic innovators.
Nicer weather for most of the day. It will be coldest, 2 degrees to 4 degrees. Here's a summary.
This is Thames News from London.
Good evening. Another tour company in the southeast has gone out of business. Amersham-based Timsway Holidays, which specialised in breaks to Greece, is the latest casualty of the holiday booking slump. Customers with outstanding bookings will be given refunds through the Association of British Travel Agents. The collapse comes less than 2 weeks after Gatwick-based British Island Airways crashed, facing debts of more than £10 million and with the loss of 400 jobs. Police are stepping up their hunt for a bizarre sex attacker who chanted words from a Latin prayer to an elderly woman before taking her as his 5th victim.
This is a photo fit of the attacker, who's believed to be responsible for at least 3 rapes in and around a housing estate off Borough High Street, plus 2 other serious sexual assaults and a string of burglaries. Police fear there could be other victims.
It may well be that many of our victims are far too ashamed or embarrassed to contact us or speak to anyone. We can assure them that they'll be treated with courteousness and in confidence.
The Mayor of Brent and 4 other councillors have been fined for not declaring that they were council tenants when they voted in a debate on council rents. The Mayor, Len Williams, the Labour leader, Dorman Long,